All right, you guys, I am so excited for this week. I have Lindsay on here, and I found her through social media. I found her story. I believe it was on Adoption Instagram, one of those. There's so many that I follow that I just love because I find so many amazing, awesome stories. But I reached out to her, and she has a very unique story, which I'm so excited to hear about because I just love all the different kind of stories that come with adoption. So I'm so grateful that she said yes and that we found a time that we could do this. So I'm so excited for you guys to listen to her and to share her story because it's unique and I'm excited to learn more about her too. So I will go ahead and turn the time over to you. Go ahead, Lindsay.
It was my very first year of teaching and Blake was in my class. He was like this bubbly, most fun child you've ever met. I was also pregnant with my first biological son. I always say my first son, but Blake's my first son. But so I was already a hormonal mess and I just fell in love with this child. We just clicked. And even to this day, we're very close. We talk all the time. We text and call and send each other TikToks and just fun. But it was my very first year of teaching and I just fell in love with this child. Some circumstances happened where I knew that his situation wasn't like mine growing up. It was a culture shock for me. I never experienced anything like that. And so I just fell in love with him and my heart went out to him. And all of my students, but for some reason we just clicked but my heart went out to him and my whole family knew about him. We have Monday night dinners at my mom's and I would go over and I would talk about him and we would pray for him. And I would just always say, if they would just let me take him home with me, I could just love him. And he just was the most fun child and so much fun to get to know. And I decided that I wanted my ex-husband now, my husband at the time, to meet him. And so he had to bring me something one day to school, randomly at the end of the year. And I was like, well, you have to come in and meet all my kids and especially meet Blake. And so he did. He came in and said hi and to all the children, and Blake just gravitated towards him. And because, he just was so close to me and I guess he just thought, oh, cool, another person to love. And so he met my ex-husband and he asked my ex-husband, his little sweet 9-year-old brain, could he have his birthday party at our house? And my ex-husband said, well, we're going to be on vacation during the time of your birthday, but maybe we can have it when we get back or something. And his little brain said, well, can I go with you? And so I spoke to everyone I needed to speak to on his side and got all of the necessary documents I needed to take in, in case something medical happened or anything like that. I got all of those documents and we went to the mountains. We went to Gatlinburg. We went to Dollywood and we had a blast. He had never been on a roller coaster. He had never been in a water park. So all of these things that he had never done, he got to experience for the first time and we got to watch him experience it. And that was so cool. We threw him a birthday party while he was there because he had turned 10. And he just had the best time. He was a Steelers fan. And so everything we got him was like Steelers. And so we just had the best time. When we came home, he went back to his side of the family, his family. And this was still the summer. And so just kind of throughout the summer, I would go and pick him up. He would call me and I would go pick him up and we would go and do things because, teacher. So I got to be off and but so we would go to the water park that's close to our home and just do fun things. And then when school started back, he was still doing the back and forth thing kind of, and I would go pick him up from school. I would go pick him up from school and take him and just kind of, it would just kind of become normal to us. And it was a gradual process, him staying with us all the time. It wasn't just like a that was it. And it happened. It was a gradual thing. He just kind of started staying more and more. And then by October, something happened. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember it was something, that a child, he had gotten in trouble, not big, but just something childish, and he decided he wanted to go back to his side of the family, which is fine. He went, and then he didn't come over for a little while. He didn't, and then in December, his grandma, so this was October, and then in December, his grandmother called and just said, his mom wasn't going to be around for Christmas, and that she wasn't sure how she was going to provide for him. And so my ex-husband and my family and his family and some wonderful friends of ours all got together, and we got, him Christmas. And then he just kind of never went back. Now he still spoke to his grandmother, and he still spoke to his mom and things like that. It wasn't, like they just cut them off or anything. It just was, they knew that that's where he was going to be the best taken care of. And I will always appreciate them for giving us the opportunity to love him and for him to be ours. But so we put him in travel baseball, and we had a lawyer on our baseball team, and I just talked to him just because it had been 2 years. So he stayed with us for 2 years after that Christmas without going back. Now, again, he did speak to them, but he just never went back over there to stay. And I just asked him, what do we need to do? Because at that time, I was his parent. And so I was taking him to the doctor, and we were doing all of the school things. And luckily we live in a very small town, and everyone kind of knew our story. So it was not as difficult as other places. But so that was helpful for our situation. But so we decided, we needed to get some kind of legal, because he was getting bigger and, things like that. We needed to have some kind of legal custody. So we went to the lawyer, and he just said, we'll take care of it. And he was a precious man and did it for us for free, because again, small town, he knew our situation. And we went to court twice, and we got custody of him, and he lived with us ever since. He is now 21. He played football. We were at every game, freezing cold and all. He adores his brother and sister, and they adore him. And now he lives 8 hours away with his girlfriend, and has a big boy job, and he's just a big boy now. Makes me so sad. But
no, I love it so much. And I think my favorite thing is that, like, it doesn't matter the age. It doesn't matter like when it happens. And like you told me before, like this was just something you like didn't expect to happen, and it just happened, and how beautiful it was. And I love that, like, everybody was still involved. And I love that he still had that connection, with his family, but like he was with you guys. And
he has two older brothers that he still talks to, still sees everything today.
See, and I love that. I love that, because that's kind of like in the adoption world, that's kind of like an open adoption, like once babies are adopted. And so I love that he still has that. And I love that, like, and he's just the cutest, like that picture of you guys that I've seen, like seriously. And I just love that, like, your kids, like they're all your kids, but like, even my favorite thing is like, blood does not make you family. And I love that.
And my biological son, when he actually came to stay with us, was 9 months old. That's all my kids ever have known. Yeah. They don't know anything different. But our family as well, our families, like it was the weirdest thing. There was no transition period. Like he was there. He was not there one day, and then he was there the next. And it went straight from, we don't know this kid, to this kid is our family. And that was it for us. And he's been family ever since.
And I love that. And I love that it's such a unique and different story, because I feel like most of them out the chute are kind of like, we adopted, we waited so long, papers were finalized, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
Granted, you guys still did that, like 100%, you guys still followed all those steps, but like, I just love that it's so different, and that it's just, and there's so much like love. That's my favorite thing. There's so much love with every single person that's involved in his life. And I think that's just, it just makes my heart so happy. Like, just, it really does, because I love stories like this. They're amazing. And I was so excited when I found you. I think that's my dog making noises. But like, I just love it. So, I mean, you already kind of talked, like, were there any hard parts of it? Like, I feel like it's just been like,
I mean, teenage boys are hard anyway. But I mean, of course, there were growing pains, and, he was not used to structure, and he was not used to certain things being done the way that we did them. And so, I mean, there were certain, growing pains. But like I said, I mean, he and we've always been super close. So we kind of have just clicked from the beginning. But my ex-husband, he and my ex-husband, they had a lot more growing pains, just because, I think that he was not used to a male figure in his life. And so we grew lots along the way. So,
and I love that. And I love that. Like, even though, and I feel like, even not like in adoption, like, it's the same thing. Like, there's stages of life that are just like so hard for everybody. So I just love that. I love that so much. I know your story's a little bit different and unique, but like, what is advice that you would give to somebody, maybe not necessarily just like adoption, but just to like welcoming somebody into your family?
Just keep your heart open and be open-minded, and just know that sometimes it doesn't work out like you think, but the alternative may be even more amazing.
Yes. No, you're good. You're good.
I had to call it, like, swapped screens and did something great. So.
You're good. Oh, no, you're
I'm sorry.
good. No, don't be sorry. You're totally technology, I tell you. No, and I love that. And I think it's beautiful. And I think that's like, just goes with like anything. Like, it's just, that's my favorite thing, is like adoption, and yours is like a unique way of adoption, and I just love it. And my favorite stories, and most of the stories I find like that are just so happy and loving, like love. And like you said, you guys prayed for him so much. And I have a very strong belief that God is in every single one of these stories. I know some people beg to differ, but like, I just love it. I see God a lot in these, when you're praying and you're wanting the best for these kids and all this kind of stuff. And I just love it. I just love it so much. Anything else that you want to share?
I don't think so.
No, you're good. And seriously, thank you so much for taking some time out of your night and doing this with me.
Well,
I so appreciate it.
My story, and I always tell him he is my favorite story to tell. So,
And I love it. And I just love that he's just like off doing his own thing now. And I love I love that you guys still talk. Like, it's amazing and wonderful, even though he's, off doing his own thing. So it's wonderful. I love it. Seriously. But seriously,
he's a
Lindsay,
grown up and he's still a mama's boy.
I love it. I love it so much. But thank you so much for taking some time and doing this.
Well,
with me.
thank you
really
for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.